that Jonah Hill and his girlfriend slash fiance or whatever had a similar situation that she made public, right? And so, bottom line for me is, and it sounds like for you as well, is that things like this need to be handled privately, right? Need to be, an understanding. Expectations need to be set up front, and if you're communicating this and you come to the terms and realize, look, like if Keke says, hey, I still want to wear these type of clothes, or I still want to, be single, or, whatever, be like that. Now you have an understanding. You can go your separate ways. It don't got to be a bunch of public drama,
Welcome to the talk show, where we're kicking it and having fun on inspirational radio. The talk show, kicking it and having fun. So turn your radio up.
So Jonah Hill, just a real, quick synopsis of his current event. I guess he was texting his wife, or not his wife, his girlfriend, and basically setting boundaries, setting things, from what I can read, stuff like, I guess she's a surf instructor. So he was talking about her surfing with males and inappropriate relationships with males, and, taking pictures in bikinis and stuff like that. He had a list of all stuff that, were, I'll call them trigger points for him, like boundaries or whatever for him. And at the bottom of it, basically, he said something as, if this is something that you can't do or you're not good with, then, we can go our separate ways or whatever. Right. So two things. One, it was super weird, but people tried to make this a race thing. But it's a big difference to this. Jonah was having these conversations privately, and she made them public.
That's a very valid point.
And in her public, making it public, she was claiming that he was being misogynistic. All right. And so that's where, I'm seeing the big blow up. People, one lady I know we saw said, oh, you're so brave because, a lot of this happens in private and people never know about it. And this is what, misogynistic men, look like or whatever. But, again, I would disagree with that. Again, I think some of his, things could be a little strict or whatever. But, going back to what we said earlier, I think it's different for each person. You know what I mean? It's different it's based off of your trauma. It's based off of what you went through in other relationships.
And it really depends on, my thing is comparison. Comparison really does kill, because you'll see a relationship and you'll want whatever that people through the curtain, want whatever that is, but you don't know what it's like to be that woman, or you don't know what it's like to be that man. You don't know. You could look at it and be like, ain't no way in the world I'm doing that. Right. That's what she's doing. Or vice versa. Somebody's looking at you saying there's no way I would do that, and you looking back at them and say, baby, I wouldn't do what you do either. So again, putting it in a better way is, I have grace for your insecurities. I have grace for the things that the next person don't have grace for. So that's why that person can look on and say, I have grace for it. You have grace for mine. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And that's how we're able to work out our things. Plus, sharing, but we do a lot of communicating, and we do a lot of speaking in truth to one another, speaking in truth and love to one another. And so it allows for a safe, vulnerable place for us to be able to share in that space. That's very key, because sometimes you're dealing with, you always say it, you're dealing with the fruit of something and not the root of it. And so we don't know why Jonah Hill is taking this stance. But if she loved him enough to try to, I don't know these people, to try to get to the source of it, or maybe he has shared with her, but it's something that's provoking him to take this type of stance for himself. That's not his boundaries was about him. That I don't know if that makes you a narcissist because
or misogynist.
Yeah, because you want I don't know.
But here's the thing though, because what I said earlier is most men wouldn't even break that down or articulate their feelings about that type of stuff because they either expect you to already gravitate to that, which again, I'm telling you fellas, that's an unrealistic expectation because your head, I know you think there might be some general things that all men think or whatever, but there's going to be some nuances there. And then two, again, having a man open up and tell you up front, like, these are some things that I struggle with or that I would struggle with in a relationship,
Right.
That's gold to a woman. That's really a good thing. Like, again, if you think that's misogynistic, that's your way to just say, okay, great. I'm going to move on to someone else who doesn't care about that.
And what it showed me is that somebody is not on the same page. They're not as real as somebody thought they were. Because if it was that, and again, we're just looking at what they have displayed, but it was just like, to me, I don't like when people have disputes and they gotta bring other people in it. To me, and that's just not even a relationship like a man and a woman dating. I'm no longer your friend. When you have to go and you have to go badmouth somebody about the situation, it don't look bad for the person you badmouth, it look bad for you. Because if we ever get into it, I know what you're gonna do. So it was immature. It's a lack of maturity. Mm-hmm. That, again, not only should have just been private, but you just as a woman, that to me, that's not a woman. See, look, look what he did. Look what he texted me. Look what, you know what I mean? Like,
and whatever side you're on, again, if you're a woman, I don't know that. But that's what I'm saying, to our listeners, if you're on the side where, a woman should be able to wear what she want to wear and, or you on the side where, a woman should be modest and respect the relationship he's in and whatever. It don't really matter. It matters to the couple and that conversation. So like me and you can have a conversation. We may have like a set of, things, do's or not to do's in our relationship. And it may be different from some, another couple's or anything else. But the whole point is communication. And what that showed me there is, you have a man, he's doing something that a man, I promise you, normally probably wouldn't do to that level. The
language he used was very...
Not like he was in counseling or something.
Yeah. He's taking some type of therapy. So it may have been something that he's consulted with someone and the advice was, hey, you have to and what was interesting about it is because usually people who struggle with boundaries, they have to state their boundaries.
And they have to
they have to state them because they let people break or they break their own. So he had to state those things to her, which, maybe I'm just assuming, I don't know them. Maybe they've had conversations about it and she just, it's fine. I don't know. But they said she was a surf instructor, so she gonna be
probably a model, and
she gonna have a cheeks out somewhere. So I mean, I can understand by that being her profession, it's some conversation because that's how she make her money. So again, peep through the window. Was she supposed to quit this job? What was supposed to happen? Because what she does. What she was doing when you met her or whatever the case may be. So again, it always comes down to the details. Mm-hmm. And we don't have the details because we are not them. So it's hard for me to just have a opinion about it because...
And I don't think the opinion matters.
But I mean, that's for social media. Everybody got an opinion on, you say left, we gonna say right. Oh, he's this kind of man, that kind of man, and none of us really know him.
But that's the example. That's the perfect example of, again, two people getting into a relationship. Everyone has their own opinion and point of view around what that needs to be. And, what I would definitely recommend and impress upon, my fellas and the ladies is for you to be really good at communicating about that. We're talking about the therapy. I went through therapy, and one of the things that came about in my earlier life was my inability to set boundaries, my inability to put, just to be transparent about it, what it was doing to me inside. Like, I would be someone, I would allow something to happen, right? I would think about it. I would have an issue with it, but I would just go along with it to appease whoever I'm with, right? The issue with that, and this is just a known fact, and a lot of men, I would say, do this. I don't know if women do this or not, but I'm just going to speak from a male standpoint. You internalize those feelings to an extent to where, that frustration continues to just build up and build up and build up.
Right.
Now, either, you're going to get sick from that physically, mentally, whatever at that point, but it's not a good situation. So, when I was, going to therapy about that, it was just brought to my attention that there were certain things, and not necessarily big things, didn't have to be a big issue, but it would be things that if I had never stated to that person, like, hey, when you do X, Y, and Z, that bothers me.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Oh, I know.
And then I'm holding, but, if I'm not talking to them about it, I'm holding them accountable for something that I just expect them to know at that point, right? Mm-hmm. This was before I met you, so I've been applying these lessons in this relationship. Hey, but that's why I'm a big proponent on communicating. And according to you, sometimes I might be over communicating, but you never know. You always know where I stand mentally or where I'm at. I'm learning emotionally from you. Mm-hmm. I'm able to articulate that. And I try to create a space for you to articulate what you're thinking and what your boundaries are, Right. And that's goes back to your safe place thing. So
it's about balance and giving. My huge thing is just grace. Like I know for a fact we live off grace, and because we're heavily coded with grace, we gotta give grace in relationships. We have to. I haven't met a perfect person. So with that being the case, people gonna mess up. People they're gonna wig out. They're gonna have, you're gonna see them exposed. You know what I'm saying? So when they expose themselves, it's up to us to figure out what to do with it. And I don't believe in blasting people when they're showing they're hurt. You know what I'm saying? That's just not me. Now, it could be against me and I'll be upset about it, but I don't feel that my response to that is to let me drag you, let me go show the world. Like, those things that I'm a keeper of. So those things are just gonna live in here, and I'm gonna be frustrated or whatever, or processing it or whatever. But to go and just bash somebody. That's just not me. I'm not with that.
And that overall, I think as Christians, because I've said this before when we were talking about relationships with each other, relationships with another person, individual, especially someone that you care about, teaches us how to have relationships with other people, even outside of our relationship. Yeah. And one of the things is someone more susceptible to listen to you if you put them on blast in public, embarrass them, or are they more susceptible to be defensive? No matter what you're saying, you could be saying the. Welcome to the talk show, where we're kicking it and having fun on inspirational radio. We are the talk show.